Well, now it's showtime. So we are live because we had to go live on Facebook or else it would have kicked us out. So we're live. And then Mike will have to come on to start. I will message him on Facebook. But this is Comic Book Weekly. So Mike was actually going to introduce the show, but Michael's here.
Yep. Hey, guys, at Duderock18. How's everyone doing tonight? Hope everyone's great. And happy V for Vendetta Day. You know, remember the 5th of November.
I didn't even realize that. I just knew it was like voting day. I guess it's also V for Vendetta Day. Usually it trends on Twitter. I didn't even see V for Vendetta at all on there.
Really? Wow.
Let me just tell Mike. So I said we started because of the Facebook Live.
Yeah. So we got some great stuff to talk about tonight. Unfortunately, Brant and Chris aren't going to be making it to the show tonight. Brant's feeling not so well. He's been trying to feel better, and Chris won't be on either. So hopefully we will see them on next week.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have the whole cast on next week. And we got the Archer of Insanity, Nick Steele. Says, hey to
I
you.
know him. Yeah, I know him. Hey, Nick, how's it going?
Hopefully you enjoy the show. But yeah, so this week we don't have a lot of news to talk about, actually. But the thing that me and Michael definitely want to discuss, and we're actually talking pre-show about, is Into the Spider-Verse sequel confirmed with a release date. So how do you feel about this one, Michael? You said you recently watched it. What were your thoughts on the movie?
Well, when I watched the first movie, it blew me away. Like, it was like really awesome, and I liked how it talked about. Like, I know it was a focus point on Miles because we know the story about Peter Parker, for those of them who watch Spider-Man, but we had other Spider-Man who came in as well, and I really enjoyed it, and it's really going to be awesome. There's been like little hints that we saw on Twitter that there might be the symbols that we saw, like Japanese Spider-Man I've heard rumors of.
That would be cool. Well, we know that Miguel would probably be in it because of the teaser from the end of the movie.
Right.
I think that Mayday is going to be in it because I feel like they really did tease that maybe Peter will have a family, or it could be Annie May if they go that route. We actually have a couple of new people here. So Z Collect. Oh, we actually have a lot of new people in this comment. So thank you. We got Baxter Shipman who says hello to both you. Hello. And that's on Facebook. And then we have Z Collects who says, hey, how's the comic fam doing? We are doing well. We're talking about Into the Spider-Verse, so it's always a good topic. And Z Collects says, if you haven't already, She-Hulk smash that like button. Exactly. So don't just regular smash that button. Smash it like She-Hulk.
Yeah, so welcome new people, and thank you for coming on for Comic Book Weekly. We're waiting still on Mike Spider Slayer to show up, and we were just talking about Into the Spider-Verse. So I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, yeah, it's sad that we have to wait 2 years, but animation like that takes a lot of, work on it. So I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to actually see it when it comes out in theaters.
It's gonna be a cool movie. It's honestly probably my favorite movie of all time. I love it. I think it's the best Spider-Man movie, and it's very rewatchable too, which is nice. But
Absolutely.
Let's go into the next topic, which is Ant-Man 3 is getting a sequel. Have you ever seen any of the Ant-Man movies, Michael?
Not as much, really. Like, I saw little bits and pieces of Ant-Man, the first one, but not really much of the second. So I'm kind of behind on Marvel movies.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the third one. I am a huge Scott Lang fan, but I'm also a huge Cassie Lang fan. So we kind of got some teases that maybe she's gonna put on the suit, and I'm really excited to see how father and daughter will interact now that she's older and everything that happened in Infinity War. So very excited for that movie. Glad it's officially confirmed, which I thought we kind of already knew. We actually do have a couple of comments here about all that. So DNGN says, well, this is about Into the Spider-Verse. Does anyone at Marvel actually like Mayday? It seems like they're trying to avoid her. I know, sadly, they really don't do a lot with her. I don't have the answer to that.
But there are other Spider-Man that or Spider-Man that they are not acknowledging as well. It's not just Mayday Parker, because there's tons and hundreds of like the 6-armed Spider-Man one.
Well, I think the big thing is that Mayday had such a following, A, and then B, that she had the longest running female series still to date for Marvel. So she's like a big character for Marvel, but like 6-armed Spider-Man, he's obviously a character we've seen, but with Mayday, it's, we got Mike on here. Kind of, why is it not going on? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so Mayday is a big deal. So Mike is officially on. We just talked about Into the Spider-Verse and Ant-Man 3. Mike. So what are your thoughts on those getting a sequel?
Well, welcome, guys. I'm here.
Oh, you're not allowed to say hi. You're just allowed to.
It's like, talk about we just talked about these things, so go on and talk about them now.
You've been stalling is the answer, Mike.
So what was it? Into the Spider-Verse and what?
Ant-Man 3.
And Ant-Man 3. Ant-Man 3 is fine. I mean, I like the other ones as well. I mean, I don't have much to say about it, but and Into the Spider-Verse, like, I'm excited for it. I like the first movie, but it's so freaking far away. Like, it's like, how can I get excited about it? It's kind of like we knew eventually it was going to come, right? It was just a matter of when. And then they set this date, and it's like, yeah, 25 years from now, you're going to get that Spider-Verse, movie. Because think about it. You got to go all through the rest of this year. It's not that much, but then you got to go through 2020, 2021, and then most of 2022 by the time you get it again. It's like, dang, man, that's a long time from now. I get it. It's an animated film. There's a lot that goes into it. But, God, it's so long from now.
Oh, yeah. I'm anticipating it. But I feel like, time does pass by and it's like, oh, all right, it's here. So hopefully the time goes quickly enough. We have 15 viewers watching. Thank you guys. And SM Down says, hey, we got a couple of newer viewers that I mentioned before. So thank you guys for showing up. And for the Facebook people watching too, we have, I think, about like 3 or 4 people watching on Facebook. So very happy about that. SM Down asks if Chris is sick. Yes, sadly. And Brant is sick too. Although I didn't get a message for Brant. Never mind. I was like, wait, I got a Facebook message. Not Brant. So yeah, those are the sequel. Those are the big movie news that came out. But we're going to go into what's connected to the movie news, which is Cassie and Scott get an Ant-Man book together. So I'm excited. As you guys know, I'm a huge Cassie fan. So we just talked about that. Obviously, it has to do with the movie that this was literally announced, and then they have this comic. The one thing I don't like about the description, it sounds like Cassie's pissed off at Scott once again. And one thing I like about her is that she loves her dad, and she usually doesn't get pissed off at him. And I thought they left it off pretty well in the previous Ant-Man series. So I wonder what happened and what's wrong. And also, I'm curious to see if it's going to be a mini series or not. So
didn't we have that in Nick Spencer's run though? About with Cassie's, yeah. Like she wound up becoming like
Stinger.
Yeah, that's right. She became Stinger in that one. So and she like resented her dad for everything that he did and stuff like that. So yeah, I remember that.
So we'll see if they actually mention any of that or not. Then we also have some comments here. So did anyone see Maleficent 2? SM Down has seen it. I heard it wasn't that great. I haven't had a chance to see it.
I haven't seen it. I mean, I only saw the first one. I did see that one. I actually liked the first one. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, the first one was solid.
Kind of want to see it, just to see what the follow-up is. But I don't know if I'll ever get around to the theater to see it, but I'll probably see it on maybe Disney Plus, when it's released on that.
At this point, I still got to get my Verizon deal. Are we sponsored by Verizon? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
I still got to figure out how that all works. But yeah, did you see Terminator? I do have plans to see it. It's just then, again, life kind of gets in the way. So hopefully I'll get to see it. I
did hear like the actors were good because you got your, Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton and stuff like that. But then I heard like the plot was really bad. It's just a recycled plot that has been done to death.
Oh, no.
So that's what I heard about it. So
maybe not worth it. There's a lot of good movies coming out in November, but yeah, I mean, you got Frozen, you got Knives Out that looks really good.
Frozen 2, that is.
Right, Frozen 2, the sequel, where Elsa gets a girlfriend. We all know it's going to happen.
And then they let it go again.
Yes. So I'm excited for that. Has anyone seen Detective Pikachu? Yeah, it was fun.
It's some pieces of it, but yeah, it's a really good movie, though. I want to someday own it on DVD because that movie is just amazing.
It's fun. And then SM
cool.
Down says, I'm going to go see Zombieland too. I saw that on Halloween.
How was that? Was that all right?
It was really okay.
It wasn't better than the first one?
Oh, no. And also, like, it's very 2009. It doesn't really update itself. It's very much in the vein of what it was. And we've had so many zombie things since that. You think they would, like, parodize it a bit more, and they don't at all. So that's it was fun. That's it. Like, I don't know if I would rush to the theater to go see it, but it's the movie to go see on Halloween because there's no other horror movies. Anyways, we're going to move on to some other stuff, which is... I wanted to talk about this. The final 2 issues of The Beauty are canceled. So me and Mike read this when it first started. Mike dropped off really early on, I remember. But what I feel bad for is that this is an indie book and it's not even able to finish its run. This was years ago it was published and it's not finishing the finale it wanted. So I wonder what was going on over there.
How could you, like, if there's only 2 issues left, how could you not finish that?
Yeah. Unless,
like,
I don't know what happened.
Just finish it. You know what I'm saying? Unless there was a fallout and something really bad happened and then the writer didn't want to finish the book, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
That's bad, though, because how many issues are they into that series at this point?
A lot. I think it's like 30 to 40 at this point.
Right. So that's kind of crappy right there. You got 2 issues left and you can't finish it. Something had to happen with the creator, maybe Image, or something maybe with the creative team. Like, something had to happen to break that up.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of lost me for a while. So sadly, it just kind of went in so many different directions. But yeah, it's sad that they're not going to be able to finish it, or maybe they will wrap it up somehow. Maybe they're just like, I don't need these 2 issues. I don't know. We'll see for the Beauty fans. But the last topic here we got is that Felicity is returning for Arrow's series finale, and so is Quentin Lance, who, spoiler alert, I'm not doing any of the spoilers here because I don't know how to do the banners, but just, here's the flashing lights of spoiler alert. Quentin died in a previous season, so it's going to be like, how does he come back? So it's cool that they're pulling all the stops. I heard the season's really good for Arrow, so I'm excited to binge it. Other than that, like, that's all I really have to say about it.
I mean, I think it's cool that Felicity is coming back. I think it's only fitting that she needs to come back because she was such an integral part of the show. And I don't think, I haven't watched the show in a while, but I don't think the show is probably the same without her in it. So it is fitting that she's there to finish it off with them.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so we'll see. And also, it's coming really soon. So, and same thing for Crisis on that. SM Down says, did I change my place? It's literally the same place right there. I just was sitting here all day. So I'm just like, all right, I'll just sit here, I guess. I like changing it up, guys. I used to sit here for a little while, and then I sat over there because it was easier. We'll change it up.
We'll do change up weeks.
Yeah, I'll sit with the plants. Who knows? It will be crazy, but I would not want to sit over there.
Pretty cool.
I get like so itchy with these plants, so it'll be cool for everyone else, but for me, I'll just have hives everywhere.
I didn't know that. Now don't overdo it now.
Yeah, don't overdo the plants. All right, so that's all the news, guys. So we're gonna actually go into our under the radar books already.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, Mike.
So under the radar is where we talk about books that none of us probably read. We probably do, but mostly of what we don't read. So for me to start off my under the radar, I would like to talk about Warlord of Mars Attacks issue number 5, which is the last issue. So in the previous issue, we saw that Dr. Norman sacrificed himself to save John Carter's life after taking the bullet. So after all that happens, John Carter said that he would defend him for every mount of Barsom. And yet the aliens had the plans to hunt down John Carter by destroying the atmosphere factory first, which would be bad. So Ramon, I think it was Ramon, which was Dr. Norman's friend there, came up with an idea that a bomb might be able to, get them in the attacks, which is where they had to go searching for it. And with that, they used a big giant egg, which was kind of weird, but in a way, they found it was like a special egg that could, use it as the bomb to dismantle the aliens' weapons. That way they can't shoot. So they did that successfully. And as they do hand-to-hand combat, they said, no, we surrender. And I thought that was actually kind of funny. So, yeah, I mean, great artwork, wonderful story. I would definitely recommend trade paperback for those of you John Carter, Warlord of Mars, or Aliens fans out there. Like, not like, Mars Attacks alien people. So, yeah, this is definitely something that I enjoyed reading for this week to talk about for my Under the Radar. So let's go to now Mike Spider Slayer. What's your Under the Radar?
Mine, I think, once again, is going to be Vampire State Building. This time it was issue number 2. Of course, the illustration is done by Charlie Adlard, which is the Walking Dead artist. And this book wound up being really good this time around. We get to see a couple of the characters stand out a little bit more, which was kind of cool. We obviously get to see this Empire State Building being overrun by this type of vampire-like creatures, okay? And so our main characters have to escape from this Vampire State Building, and they're trying to make their way down, and they're trying to escape from the fire escape, and then you got the police in there, like shooting behind them, giving them cover fire. One of the people falls off of the fire escape and plummets to their death. And it's just all this little real action-packed type of horror book. It's like something you would see in a movie theater. And you also get kind of like the origin story of these creatures, where they're from and what the main vampire does. Like, he could either like eat you, or he can like hug you and suck your blood out that way. It's kind of weird and gross all at the same time. But yeah, it's cool. It's a lot of fun. I like it, and probably seen it all before, but nevertheless, I'm a sucker for that stuff. And it was very fitting for the week of Halloween. So it was a great read.
All right. Sounds pretty awesome. Kat, you're Under the Radar book.
Yes. Well, first I wanted to say DNGN's comment. There wasn't a lot to pick from for his haul. So he said he only had a top 4 this week. So let us know if you guys picked up a lot of books. I think I picked up an okay amount, not crazy amount.
Books, so perfect for a top 5.
I had 12. So.
I think I had 13, I think.
Yeah, so not the hugest haul. But anyways, going back to the Under the Radar, mine was Invisible Woman issue 4. I love this book. It's one of my favorites that have come out this year, honestly. And I just don't feel like enough people are talking about how awesome it is. The artwork is out of this world. And I actually looked up the artist. I thought they've been working for a long time, and they've honestly only done Jessica Jones and this book. And that blows my mind. I think they're one of the best artists at Marvel right now, / the big 2. So, but in this issue, we get to see Aiden being a bad guy. You think, all right, maybe this is going to be the stereotypical espionage story where he's a double agent, and he's not. He ends up shooting this little girl by accident, and he's like, all right, that's why I'm a bad guy, and I'm going to continue doing this. And we get to see Maria Hill arrest Sue Storm by the end of the issue. It's crazy. And the artwork is just crazy good. Look at this opener with her eyes. Let me see if I can get it. Where is it? Here it is. Look at that scene right there.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Like awesome. In half the issue, she's blind, and then they utilize the negative space in this page, so she could see because of her powers. She's able to see through cosmic ray lights. That's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it was really awesome issues. I
like the cover of that issue. How she's phasing through, or she's like half invisible, and then she's in the crosshairs with Maria Hill. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book, phenomenal book. So if you guys haven't been reading it, I guess pick up the trade at this point because it's issue 4. We have like one more issue left. I hope that they do more with Sue. I think it proves that she's a great character.
Oh, sure. Yeah, obviously. That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's my under the radar this week.
All right.
And that's all of our under the radar books. So now I'm going to pass it on to Mike with comic talk and top 5.
All right, guys. Yeah, so we're going to talk about some of these big books that came out this week, or so-called big books. Don't forget there are spoilers in these discussions, like Kat talked about earlier. So you have been warned. So the first book that we're going to be talking about this week, Michael, I'm not sure if you read this one. You said you only read 4, but 5. This one was 5. Tales of the Dark Multiverse, Death of Superman, issue 1.
I heard a lot about it, though.
Yeah. I actually like this. I mean, these are like what if stories. This is basically like DC's version of it. You know, instead of the Watcher, you have that other dude, that guy from Sideways. And he's like, yeah, in the dark multiverse, this shit happens and this and that. And but basically, this is the death of Superman. So basically, Superman dies, and Lois takes it really hard, and she wants vengeance for the death of Clark, right? And as she gains powers from Eradicator Superman, she realizes that why was her husband so weak? Why didn't he actually do the things you're supposed to do to get rid of the threats in the world? Why did you just not get rid of the villains? Why did you just not get rid of all the corrupt systems? You know, she didn't get that aspect of it. It was just like, it was almost like the Superman that you saw in Injustice. That's basically what you saw there. But I liked it because it ended up as Superman does come back, and then he dies again at the end of it. And it's just like, oh, damn. Like, Lois just got, like, slapped in the face twice, you know?
Wow.
I thought it was a good book. I really did. I thought the artwork was really good. It was really dark. The emotion that was in Lois' face was outstanding. It really captured how angry she really was, you know? I'm curious to see what, like, Chris thought of this book, if he actually read it.
I'm sure he liked it.
Yeah, because this for me was really good. So yeah, I don't know. Did you read it, Kat, or no?
I did read it. I kind of had the opposite feeling.
Did you?
Yeah, no, I wanted you to say what you liked about it. But yeah, I love the art. I think the artwork was really good, but I really didn't like the emotions as much. I thought some of it felt unorganic to me, and I feel like I didn't really love how driven she was just because of Superman. I didn't feel like she had a character on her own of just being Lois. She's just like, I'm gonna become evil now. And I maybe because I was just so excited for this book. I remember when this was announced, I'm like, this is gonna be so cool. It'll be like the next,
Right.
Spider-Gwen or next Jane Foster. And then I read it and I'm like, it's just where you thought it was gonna go. I didn't particularly love the dialogue, but I think it was more of the expectation thing. It was just like I had so much expectation for it.
I just looked at it as an Elseworld story, and that's kind of like, I think, how you have to look at it. Can't take it too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't look at her as necessarily, I guess, evil. I guess she wanted to do what Superman wanted to do, and then she realized that he felt that that he was weak, that he didn't do the things that should have been done, you know? And in her eyes, it was like, oh, I'm right and now you're wrong. So it was like her version of justifying all these things, you know?
I also thought it was quick, though. Everything just felt very, Talia said that it's an Elseworld story. She's not supposed to be happy. That's not what I disliked about it. She could be unhappy. I just thought the way it was presented, again, was very rushed. And I said this in my review, and I'll say it again, and this is not to say that men obviously can't write women, because they can. But when I read it, I was just like, I could kind of tell a guy wrote this. And that's kind of how I felt after. And then I didn't know who wrote it at all, but I saw the name and I was like, oh, okay. Like, for some, I feel like maybe it would have gotten a little bit more of a different point of view if a woman wrote the book.
Now,
Mhm.
here's my thought.
Mhm.
Do you think they were going for more of a 90s
Yes.
style of writing?
Yes, for sure. Maybe that's why I didn't like
Purposely.
it.
Right, purposely, because
Purposely? Okay.
yeah, because the way the book was written it was very 90s style driven, because it's like, okay, we're going to write the death of Superman, but what if Lois basically just went the wrong way? And I felt maybe that's what they did with it.
Honestly, that's a really good point. I mean, that's why the writing felt the way it did for me. I mean, obviously 90s books are what they are.
Right.
So yeah, I just didn't love it because of that. But also I don't have a connection to Death of Superman like you do or Chris does.
Right.
I've read the story. It's cool. I'm choking on myself right now. But yeah, no, I think it's a cool story, but I don't have that history as much as you guys do for that series. So maybe that's also a reason why I didn't feel it. Or maybe just because Lois sucked so much recently. I just wanted a win for her, and there just was no win by the end.
She got trashed. I did like, though, how she took Lex Luthor and she basically just brought him into space and he like got burned alive. I thought that was pretty awesome. I'm like, okay, you're pissed off at him. Psh.
The action's awesome for this book, if I have to say anything. And that's why, like you just said, that's why it's so 90s driven, that it's just so much about just Superman having long hair, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I just felt like it was a 90s stories told in that fashion, and you're just role reversing what Lois would become. That's all basically it was, you know? So, all right, cool. So there's that book. But I had fun with it, and that's what you got to do with those types of books. Next one. This is a really big one. Excalibur Issue One, the newest X book that came out this week. Honestly, I wasn't really excited about this book because I don't have a strong connection to the Excalibur characters. And then when I read it personally, I was kind of just bored by the whole story. It wasn't my favorite read, and I'm still decisive of what I'm going to do with this particular book. If I'm going to continue it, give it a story arc, I don't know, but I just didn't like the plot. I didn't care about Camelot, and I felt like this whole storyline is a stretch just to somehow be connected to Krakoa. And it's another story about a portal that just doesn't work correctly. I don't know. I know, Michael, you probably didn't read this one as well, but what did you think about this one, Kat?
Yeah, I agree. Out of all the X-Men stories, you would think I'm a huge Excalibur fan because I'm a huge Kitty fan, but I'm not, honestly. It's really the one story I didn't quite get into with Kitty, and I haven't even read the whole thing of it. I've read important issues in it, but I've never read the whole series. And I'm just not a fan of Camelot stories by any means. Like King Arthur, all that type of stuff is just not my thing. Not saying that it's like a full on King Arthur book, but it has elements to that type of storytelling. And yeah, I wasn't really a big fan. It didn't really justify why I should pick up issue 2. I also don't love the roster. I mean, I thought it was interesting that Apocalypse is on the team, but they didn't really sell it for me with who's on the team at all. Like, I'm not a Psylocke fan. It's always been hard for me to get into that character. Don't care about Captain Britain and her becoming Captain Britain by the end. So
it's spoiled though, because you already know that she is going to be Captain Britain. And the other characters are not really explained why they're there. Like, why is Gambit there? You know, why do you care that he's there? Rogue, who gives a shit if she goes into a coma and she's part of Krakoa now in some shape or form? The one thing that you could say about these X books is that if an X character dies, you can always freaking resurrect them. So it's like, why don't you just kill Rogue and then just resurrect her if that's a problem? You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh my God, what'd you do to her? And it's like, who cares? You can resurrect them at any time. So I was just kind of like, oh, okay. It just doesn't seem like any high stakes thing there, you know?
Yeah, especially because we have so many other X-Men books. And I know a lot of us here are at least trying out the first issues of all of them. I know I'm trying out all the first issues. So you got to pick and choose which ones you like. And I don't know if Excalibur is really on the list for me.
The Archer of Insanity, Nick Steele. Love this name, by the way. Excalibur was holy hell phenomenal. So glad you liked it. I mean, like I said, there's going to be an X book for everybody. I think it really matters on, you know, your favorite X-Men and your characters and if they're going to work right for you in that particular series, you know? So for me, I'm just, those characters I'm not really attached to, probably besides mainly Rogue and Gambit.
Come on.
What's wrong?
He was frozen, I think. He actually really just hates Excalibur a lot.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's
okay.
all right.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think it really is going to depend on what characters you end up liking. Like, obviously, a lot of us like the roster for Marauders. You know, that's the heroes that we enjoy there. Fallen Angel, they got X-23 in there, so we'll see how that works out. Trying to think what other books are.
So Fallen Angel, you got X-23, Young Cable.
I think the other Psylocke.
And then the other Psylocke, which I like that Psylocke better.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens with it, though. I don't have high expectations. I think out of all those books, we discussed it once before, like the Fallen Angels one is the one that I was predicting to drop first. So we'll see what happens with between that and Excalibur. So
also doesn't have a name either, because at least Excalibur, like, as people enjoyed the previous series of that, so it has a name. Fallen Angel, like, what is that from?
Like it's supposedly someone close to. I think Psylocke is the one that something happens and then they gotta go on a mission and something like that. So like, how is that all connected to everything? You know, I don't know. We'll see. Somehow, some way, it all connects. Tevi is excited for Fallen Angels. He's looking forward to it.
Cool.
Yep. All right. So let's move on. We'll actually go on to our official top 5 now, and we're going to start with Michael. Michael, what is your number 5 this week?
So my number 5 book was Savage Avengers Annual Issue number 1. And as you can see from the Savage Avengers, it does have to deal with Conan. And it only focuses on him in the book, along with Daimon, who is a demon from hell, so to say.
Sounds like a Digimon.
I know, right?
He is Daimon.
When I read that name, that actually was funny. But so he searches for this woman, Esme, as he was heading out, because he heard like her prayers, because she is a slave to Conan, because you know Conan does this thing where he paid women to sleep with him and all that stuff.
Yeah, that little thing.
Yeah.
But then he let them all free because of some quests that he's doing, or auctioning them. But it was like a little bit of an okay book. There was also a widow that helped out during Conan and Daimon's fight, because they had like a really intense fight scene. And Conan actually finds out that Cullen got were armed with sickles, so to say, because of the symbol that he saw on one of the men he killed. So the ending showed a bunch more that didn't seem like it was the end statement, but it was just a one shot, I guess. But I feel it was an okay book. Really good.
Cool. So at least you're still enjoying that Savage Avengers, right? So that's good, pretty good.
Someone's still reading it.
What's that?
Someone's still reading it.
Yeah, I think I stopped it after issue 1.
I did too.
Yeah.
But I know you're a big Conan fan, Michael, so that makes sense. And also, like, you like Elektra too, right?
The what?
Elektra?
Elektra?
Oh, I guess not.
I know
Elektra? Question mark? Yeah, I like her.
I know Elektra. I just don't read it.
She's in the book.
She's in the book, though.
Oh, you mean with the Marvel and
yeah, you know the book we're talking about.
Right.
Savage Avengers. She's in the book.
Yeah, with the Punisher and all the other B.
Yeah.
Point being, he loves Elektra. Best character ever.
Yep. Awesome. Just chop him in half.
All right, Kat, what was your number 5 this week?
Mine was, I think this was it. Yeah, Jughead Time Police issue 5. It's the last issue of the series. It's fun. Honestly, this wasn't the stronger issue of the series because half of the issue they're doing Battle of the Bands and there's not like a lot of time travel stuff. But I liked seeing the other versions of Jughead. I thought that was cool. And if you like slice of life, fun comedy Archie stuff, I think you'll enjoy this one. And I wish Archie would lean into these type of stories more often because now you just have like the drama of Sabrina and the horror stories. So it's cool to kind of go back to basics, but still be modern at the same time.
It's cool. Definitely don't read that series, so I have nothing to say about that. I know Michael definitely doesn't read that one. So,
nope.
All right, so let's move on. We're going to talk about the next book this week, and this one is Joshua Anderson says, "I love Conan." You can leave it up there. I love Conan, and I think it's a great series. So that's
thank
cool.
you, Joshua. I agree.
And then DNG, yeah.
They should just call it Conan and the Other Guys.
Yeah, I mean, at least for Michael, that's his.
Or crush your enemies, Conan, because that's his whole slogan thing.
That is slogan.
All right, so before we go on to number 4, we're going to talk about another book that came out this week, and this was the conclusion to this series, and this was Deceased, issue 6. Kat, did you read this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you think about this particular ending of this series?
I thought it was a better issue than what we've been getting. I'll use one of Michael's words, but it was a very action-packed issue. It was a very action-packed issue. We get to see
using my words now. I see.
I have to. I mean, Wonder Woman gets stabbed in this book. We got Aquaman who stabs in this book. We got the Green Lantern Corps just saying, let's destroy everything. So
Superman gets his arm chopped off. He goes into the sun and he's trying to destroy the entire universe or this universe. It was crazy, man. I was like, oh my God.
Why couldn't this be every other issue? Because like I enjoyed this one. One thing I will say that I disliked about Deceased is that did we actually need it? Does it really redefine the apocalypse genre?
No, but again, it's one of those ones that I felt like what was good about this series is that it got better as it went along. It didn't get worse. Yeah. It got at first I was like, this is dumb. And then it just got better. It got more emotional. It just seemed like by the time you got to the end of it, like it just seemed like all humanity was at stake and they had nothing left but to escape and to go to a different Earth, which, still leaves it in a balance of, what could happen. Is there going to be another series? Like it leaves you with that, and I like that. And all the characters were just, I don't know. Again, this is where Tom Taylor shines. I think he does know how to write great Elseworld stories and he knows how to capture those characters' emotions. Like I put in my panels this week with Green Arrow shooting freaking Aquaman. He's like, yeah, that's right. I shot an arrow halfway around the world or half a mile away in the wind, in the rain. I killed Aquaman in his freaking Kraken. Fuck you, Batman. It's just
language.
It's okay.
It's in the comic, man.
Yeah. It says it in the comic. So that's what he says. And it's just like, man, that's a jab at Batman right there. And I think that's cool because it's like he doesn't get respect, but the person that gets less respect than Oliver is who? Aquaman. And just as he shows up in the book, he gets killed. So it's killed so
off. And I think Mara was like a Themyscira for a little while in this book. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere else. I know they made spin-off series while this was going on, and it was a very successful series for DC. At least selling-wise, it was on the top of the charts. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do some space story, which honestly, I think that could be more interesting than this story to see what they'll do with Out on Earth.
And it was, again, and same thing, like John went face to face against his father in this too. So it was probably out of all the issues, the last issue and this issue were the most emotional out of them all. So great ending to a series. I wouldn't mind seeing more. I'll be honest with you, to see what they could do with it, as long as Tom Taylor wrote it. If somebody else wrote it, I probably wouldn't read it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm actually really curious to see if Brant read this one, if he watches the show post live, because I know he was the one who probably disliked it the most. I don't know if he even like read it through, but I do think it became better. And the covers were really good for this book. I don't think it's as good as Injustice, and I hate comparing them. You kind of have to, because they're both Elseworld stories. So right. I do think Injustice was better, but
I think also Injustice is at this point, it's like it's a much bigger monster. I mean, those things went on for issues, you know. So, but otherwise, I thought it was fun for what it was. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is keeping in the same genre here, Marvel Zombies Resurrection Issue 1. This is a book Michael should have read. Like, you should have read this, Michael. This would have been a fun read for you.
I mean, I'm not really into the Marvel Zombies, really.
Yeah, but it was different. It wasn't like traditional just Marvel Zombie. It was a good introductory issue. At least to give it a try anyway. Did you read this one, Kat, or no?
I didn't. No, as Michael said, I'm usually not a Marvel Zombies fan, but it's cool to hear that it was a solid issue.
It was a good opener because you basically have your Marvel heroes who basically get a distress call from Captain Marvel, and they find out that they get this call from Captain Marvel saying that Galactus has stopped moving and Galactus is dead. So what happens is Reed, out of all people, because you know how Reed is, he's like, dude, we got to get this technology. I mean, could you imagine what it can do for us? And we have to get there before the bad guys do. So they're like, fine. So they assemble a team of Avengers, X-Men, shit like that. They go, they fly to Galactus. Yep, he's truly dead. They land in his mouth, out of all things. And what really happens is basically a setup. Captain Marvel is infected by the Marvel zombie virus, or the zombie virus, which you don't quite know how they got, because Galactus obviously was infected by it or whatnot, plus all the other cosmic beings that are in the Marvel universe, like Nova, Silver Surfer, and Guardians of the Galaxy. They're all infected. And you see our heroes desperately trying to escape. And unfortunately, none of them escape. So by the time you wind up getting to the end of this issue, Galactus is falling from the sky, going into Earth. And Spider-Man is sitting there on the porch with the Fantastic Four, with Valerie and Franklin. And he's just sitting there shooting this shit. And then you see this big light from the sky, and that's Galactus falling down to the ground. And Franklin's like, guys, and that's how the book actually ends. So it was actually a great introductory issue. If I compared Contagion to this, I think that this Marvel Zombies introductory, I think is a good book. I think it was a good introduction and has a little bit more story to tell, where Contagion wound up fizzling out.
Well, yeah, let's hope it stays that way. But so Tevi asks, why do Marvel Zombies again? And obviously money, but it sounds like this wasn't a cash grab, which is very nice to hear. That it's a story where, like, no, we actually do have a cool Marvel Zombie story to tell you, which is usually a rarity. Besides the original, they've been trying to rehash it and they haven't been able to.
Different. It's kind of, the artwork seemed a little bit different from the other ones. And again, there seems to be a good attempt at telling a solid story here, you know? So again, we'll see where it goes. You know, it's only the first issue, but it definitely does a great job at hooking you. And if these books didn't sell, they wouldn't continue to make them. That is the way you got to look at it.
Sure. Oh, they definitely sell.
Joshua says Marvel Zombies sounds great, Mike. I might have to check it out.
Yeah, it's what we're here for, recommending good books.
All right, and again, it's all in the spirit of Halloween. You know, that's basically what it came out for. All right, so we're gonna move on to number 4. All right. And what was my number 4 this week? My number 4 was the book that we talked about. That was the Dark Multiverse story. So that was
Superman one.
Yeah, so that was my number 4. So, Michael, what was yours?
Number 4 goes to Conan the Barbarian, issue number 10. So it actually was a great book because it talked about those 2 kids in the book, about their origin story, about how their mother was murdered from Conan. And it was a really weird beginning about this old lady who said that Conan was the father or something like that. It was like a really weird beginning, but long story short, like I said, it explained the children's origin, and with waiting for the opportunities to kill Conan, they stabbed him as their tower lives again and everything. And as it arises, this huge demonic entity, Razil, however you say his name, as the entity was rising, they proclaim Conan is dead, which they always do in like almost every issue. And something's going to come about this. So the artwork was kind of, but the story was also another okay book to read.
Well, that's good. Another Conan extraordinaire.
It's Conan week.
They seem to hang on for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So we'll move on to Kat. What was yours, Kat?
Mine was Deceased. We already discussed it.
Deceased.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So let's see. Let's move on to some other books that we have to talk about. I didn't read this one. Maybe Kat did.
Let's see.
Batman Annual issue 4.
I did. Didn't have to. That's for sure. It is just pretty much a letter to Alfred.
Another letter.
Yeah, it was a letter. And it's like his everyday. He's like, all right, I'm on a train now, and I'm going to fight someone. I'm fighting in the MMA now. That's what I'm doing today. And that was the story. It's just like a day in the life of Batman. And didn't quite need it, in my opinion. But
not worth the $5.
Definitely not worth the $5, in my opinion.
Who wrote it?
Was good. Tom King, of course.
Tom King did write it? Okay.
Yeah, it's like one of his last stories. So, people are anticipating it. But yeah, the artwork was definitely cool. I just thought it was long and was kind of like over it. I'm ready for his run to be over.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. All right. So another book we're going to talk about real quick is Dead Man Logan, issue 12. And Tevia's number 5 was Justice League Dark, mostly because as a fan of this team, it's really cool to have Cersei make her own team against Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman team, also, yay, Wonder Woman has all these magical artifacts. Pretty freaking awesome, yo. That's what he said, just like that.
He said yo too, yeah.
Yeah, he said yo at the end of it.
So isn't the Batman book A Day in the Life of Batman? Yep. It is.
Don't we see that every day in every other comic that we read?
Oh, and actually it's this is the cover says From the Diary of Alfred. So literally the cover explains what this book is. It's From the Diary of Alfred.
The Diary of Alfred's got to be pretty freaking thick.
It was, yeah.
That way.
But you mean to have all the years though that he has written this diary?
Yeah, but not thick? What's so weird, not about him, just about Bruce. Like, who writes a diary and doesn't write about themselves? They're like, today Bruce did this. It's like, that's creepy. How about what did you do today, Alfred?
That is creepy. Oh, today Bruce had some tea at 2:45 p.m.
I observed it.
Kind of unusual because he usually drinks it at 2:42. I feel there's something wrong with Bruce. I must keep a close eye on it. ...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was actually the issue, guys.
Yeah.
So if you haven't read it.
All right. So
Tyson.
Dead Man Logan, issue 12. That was the conclusion to that actual series. And Logan's actually dead. Like, he died. So
That's solid, right? Finally.
yeah, like, he actually died. I was wondering if they were going to kill off the character, and they actually did. Of course, whether he stays dead is another thing, but it looks like he did. Like, he had a lot of he lost his healing factor. It's all gone. He got in his final battle with Sabretooth, and him, young Bruce Banner, Danny Cage, who is the Thor in this world, he just succumbed to his injuries, and he requested that they take him to the gravesite of his wife and his kids. And he basically talked to them one last time and said, "I'll see you soon." He died by their side, and then they buried him, with the rest of the family. It was a very sad ending. And it was just like, wow, they really got rid of him. And very emotional book. And I loved it. I loved this series. I loved how they ended the character. This was a character that was created and a few years back, or a long time back now. And he went full circle. He had his own series. Then he went back to his town, and now he's dead. So it's a way to do it, I thought. Really good stuff, man. And now we're going to get the what is it? The Avengers, whatever it is, from the Wastelands, that's coming out next year. So that's his next project there. So I'm looking forward to that. Really, really great ending to this. So awesome stuff.
At least they're keeping the franchise alive. Seems like they've been doing it for a couple of years now. Because they had like Old Man Logan and Old Man Hawkeye. They had this, and now they have the Wastelands book.
Right. And they had also Old Man Peter Quill, which I don't think for me wasn't as good. There's no real connection, I feel. Hawkeye, there's definitely a connection. You know what I'm saying? This was a connection because it's obviously the main character. And then you're going to have Danny Cage and young Bruce Banner. There's still the connection there. But Peter Quill, I was like, not really my thing there. That one.
Also, from like a selling point of view, that's like a weird one.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we talked about those books. So we're going to move on to number 3. My number 3 this week was, it happens to be Dead Man Logan, huh? Figure that out. So that was my number 3. Michael, what is yours?
Number 3 goes to the Sandman Universe presents Hellblazer, issue number 1. I was really psyched going into reading this book because the Hellblazer we know is John Constantine. So I'm just going to say off the bat that the art was a bit okay to start off with. It's just basically John Constantine who's going through like war of magic. So he like goes through like, fighting ghosts, and the past ghosts come to him, and was like Tim Hunter to show him what he turned out to be with years to come in the alternate future, so to say. And then an old version of him from the ultimate future made a deal with him to fix him up. And John said that it was a deal that he would do that. So we see then him in 2016 after he made the deal with him that he leaves like a mental psychiatric hospital, it looks like, and facing demons who has cheated, hurt, and disappeared for years. So he met with Chas, who we saw in the beginning of the book, in his ghost form, and said how much he ruined his life and being the worst person ever. And I would say more. Excuse me, my throat's a little. But it was a very long book and mostly all talking, so it was just good.
Not action packed for you.
Yeah,
not action packed.
Not action packed. No action.
No action. Just talky.
You don't like Constantine's voice? Like, he's British, so you should love his voice.
I never said I didn't like his voice.
You don't want him to talk.
If you wanted to have a dialogue heavy book, you should have read Harleen this week.
Oh man, I'm glad I didn't. It's such a long book. That first issue, it took a while to get through.
The second issue did too. I mean, I liked it though. Personally, I did like it. It didn't make my top 5 because I do think the issues are too long. But I thought overall, it was a good book, and seeing Harley get infatuated with Joker in this version of it, I thought was kind of cool because she's just fighting against herself, admitting like, you know, it's wrong to like this guy, but she's battling that way, and she's all she could think of is him. You know what I'm saying? And trying to do the right thing, but it's the wrong thing at the end. So it's kind of cool to have her seeing her go down this like rabbit hole. I liked it, but yeah, it was so freaking long.
It sounds it. I think there's like one more issue left, right?
Yeah, it's it. Yeah. DNGN says his number 4 was Venom issue 19. At this point, I'm over the Absolute Carnage event. It's derailing this book, but the art is great enough to buy more patience. So, yeah. All right. So we have to talk about that book, right?
Yeah. Did I not? Yeah, the next set.
It is the next set? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because it wasn't actually in my top 5. I did like it, but it wasn't in my top 5. All right. So we're moving on to the next set of books, right? Or did you go?
We're on number 3. I didn't go. We're on number 3.
You didn't go. Yeah, number 3.
Okay.
You didn't go.
Number 3 for me is Runaways, issue 26. Obviously, I like this book a lot. And with this issue, we get to see our heroes go into more of the superhero genre stuff and join this team, Doc Justice. But he's a weird guy. Like, he has this mansion, and there's these separate rooms where it's like girls only, boys only. So supposedly he had like a superhero team with like young teens. Maybe he was a young teen as well. But then it's just like, why are you still keeping everything the way it was? And the one thing you learn from the Runaways is you can't trust adults. So do you trust this guy? We'll find out. But it's a solid issue. I enjoyed it. It's a cool direction for a book that's not usually a superhero book and embracing the genre a bit more.
Dark Justice.
Dark Justice.
Dark Justice. Sounds so cheesy. It's so funny.
It's all about the cheese whiz. And I think his team is called like the J something. It's like the J. It starts with a J. So the J team. Honestly, maybe it is, but it's supposed to be like cheesy and a interesting, somewhat parody on superheroes.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Glad you liked it. So yeah, we'll talk about the next set of books here. So the first one is Basketful of Heads. I had this in my hand. I looked at the interiors and I was like, no. You know, I think I'm gonna skip it till where I get that next one with the dollhouse, the family dollhouse one. Mm-hmm. I think I'm gonna get that one when that comes out, but I didn't read this one. So you read it?
I did. I wasn't gonna originally get it. I also was one of those books that I was flipping through, and I'm like, I don't know. And I ended up picking it up because it was like the only slasher book from this horror line. And if you guys know, that's kind of the aesthetic for me for horror stuff. I enjoy slashers and serial killer stuff. So I was interested in this, and supposedly, well, the story very much is just about the ambiance here of this girl who's dating the sheriff, and she's opening up, like, you know, wanting to give her boyfriend sexual pleasure. So, you know, she's definitely the character that wouldn't be the final girl. So that was interesting. And then like midway throughout the book, we get to see her be smart and be interesting. And then we find out she is going to be the final girl of the book. And she has this axe that she's going to end up holding as she goes to this really rich house. And there's these strangers that end up walking into the house. And she's going to have to use this mystical axe to fight off these people. So I don't think it was a good first issue. Because again, it took until the end to get to the point where she has the axe in her hand. You don't really know her besides like, okay, they're trying to showcase a different way to do this trope, which I love. I love when they test the final girl storyline, and to have a character like this be a lead. I thought was really cool. But yeah, I'm gonna see what the second issue brings us. If I don't like that, then I know it's not the series for me. But I really like the premise, and I hope it sticks the landing.
So is she like gonna chop off their heads with the
I
mystical
hope.
axe? Is
I
that
hope
what you're
so.
supposed to be hinting at?
Yeah, like what they're hinting at is that, again, this is the girl who would have died first. Because if you know the rules of like horror movies, like the only person that ever survives is the girl who doesn't have sex in the movie. And the girl who does have sex is the person who ends up dying.
Right.
So they're trying to revert and say, no, she's not the dumb blonde. She actually is somebody who knows stuff and is a smart girl and who will end up surviving and be this final girl. So, yeah, we don't know much about this axe besides it's like a mystical axe. And again, it's mostly about setting up to get them to the house. And I want to like her more. I want to like everyone more. But I think they fall onto the trope maybe a little bit too much, that she's not much of a character besides the stuff she's mentioning. Just that way they play up the tropes. But I think it has potential. And that's why I'm like, I hope issue 2 is better than issue 1. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be.
Right. Okay. Well, that's not bad. I mean, at least it warrants a second issue. Give it a try and see where it goes, right?
Cool concept.
All right, cool. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is Venom issue 19. Obviously, that's what our thumbnail is. You know, what if Dylan Brock is Anti-Venom or the next Anti-Venom? Because basically what happens in this issue is that we get to see young Dylan. Actually, he doesn't have really control of his powers yet. It kind of acts on like instinct. But when Sleeper, the host or the symbiote, tries to attach himself to Dylan, when he touches Dylan, he basically started to disintegrate. And so if you remember in issues past with Anti-Venom, right, it would hurt the other symbiotes. So I feel like what if anything that's whatever's inside of Dylan, it basically can kill a symbiote, and he's kind of the equation to end this whole situation that's going on in Absolute Carnage. And he could be obviously a future player in the Marvel Universe as time goes along, because we all know that Eddie Brock was Anti-Venom for a point, but he is currently Venom. And then Flash Thompson got killed in the whole Red Goblin situation, and he was Anti-Venom towards the end of that. But now there is none that can stop his symbiote. There's no symbiotic weakness, but Dylan could be that weakness. It's kind of like when you contract a virus and the virus is killing everything and it's a plague or whatever. Usually that person, maybe the first person who contracted it, you extract it and then you use that as an antidote. That's kind of what I think Dylan kind of is. I mean, so what do you think about that theory there, Kat?
I mean, I think it definitely could be true. And I guess my question being is that you think that's actually going to play a part in Absolute Carnage? Because obviously we're getting towards the end of that book. I don't even know. The worst part about Absolute Carnage is that I don't know quite where they're going for the plot. It's just more of an action-packed series. So I'm curious if you think it's going to play a part in that series, because Donny Cates is writing both. And then do you think people that don't read Venom are going to be confused because they're just reading Absolute Carnage?
I think it could play a part in it. Obviously, everything is going to come to a conclusion, maybe obviously in the Absolute Carnage issue. And then they're might going to be like, oh, who's this kid? You know, and I think most people who are reading Absolute Carnage is reading Venom also, because the same writer has written it. So, and you want to know about Eddie's son, right? I think Eddie has a role to play here in the conclusion to this Absolute Carnage series. And I think his powers has a part to play. And his little sidekick is Sleeper. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, my theory could be completely wrong, but that's the way I was looking at it when I saw it. So
I mean, it makes sense from the information we have with that. And I guess another question is, do you think Absolute Carnage has been a good event now that we're kind of leading towards the end of it?
I think it's been a decent main events. I don't think the tie-ins were all that great. I think they had a promise in the beginning, but all those tie-ins weren't necessary. They all lead to a point to the end of the book, but none of them were necessary except for the Venom book itself. And I think the event was good. I don't think it was great. I don't think it was the best event that I ever read. I look at it as it's a summer blockbuster. Grab your popcorn, sit down, go for the ride, and let's see what happens. That's the way I looked at Absolute Carnage. The real thing that I'm going to get from this is how it ends. That will be my true final determining factor is how it ends and what are the ramifications from it.
Yeah, and if Venom continues, how much longer Donny Cates' run is going to continue for Venom? Because obviously it's very popular, but do you want to go out on a high, which is like, a lot of people bought this event, or does he continue to do Venom?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's doing Thor, so it's like his whole thing could be all on Thor now, and he told his story with Venom, Yeah. So again, we'll see what happens with it, but it's all going to determine how they wrap everything up and what's Dylan's role and what happens to Eddie, what happens to Carnage. There's a lot to still be answered, and I just wonder. Yeah, exactly. Like, how are they going to answer all those questions in one issue? So unless we're going to see things trickle through like the Venom series and maybe Spider-Man or whatever the case may be. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it. But that's my theory on Dylan there. There's obviously got to be a purpose to him in going in the Marvel universe. That's why he introduced him. So there's got to be a long purpose there. All right, so that was that. So what's the next book we're talking about? So, Kat, this is all you. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, issue 44.
Only me. And it's so funny because what I do is that I put all the indie books that I think are popular, and I always put Power Rangers. I know me and Chris reads it, and anytime Power Ranger comes out, Chris is on the show. And I'm like, damn it. But yeah, no, real quickly, I enjoyed this issue. It was the Omega Rangers coming to Earth, and what I liked is that I was curious to see how Ryan was going to make the Omega Rangers and the regular Rangers interact because they do know each other. So it's Jason and the Trini and Zach, who are the Omega Rangers, and another character. And then the regular ones are the second season or second team of the Mighty Morphin, which was, the new crew. And then you still have Kimberly, Billy, and Tommy. So they know each other. So if you hear each other's voice, you're going to be like, wait, Jason, what are you doing? So it's cool how they diverted from that. And I thought that was interesting. And yeah, it was a really solid book. I like where it's going. I like the way they're redefining the mythology of the series, but still a very character-driven book. So good stuff.
On board with the Go-Go Power Rangers. Woo!
Oh, yeah.
All right. So that means now we're moving on to our number 2. My number 2 was The Superior Spider-Man, issue 12. Wow, the way this whole thing ended was amazing. Let's see, how to sum this up. Dr. Octopus, Superior Spider-Man made a deal with the devil, Mephisto.
Man, of course.
Okay, because he didn't want this boy that basically became like, a father to, or like a big brother, you know what I'm saying? Norman Osborn threatened to kill him, and his only way to get around this was to basically change himself into Dr. Octopus once again. And you were kind of wondering if that was going to stay true, if it was going to stick, and it did. And he became Dr. Octopus again. And his girlfriend, Anna Maria, tried talking him out of it. It was crazy, man. I was just like, holy cow, this book was so good. It was so emotionally driven with Superior. You could get to see the tears in his eyes as he vaguely remembers his life as Superior Spider-Man, but doesn't remember anything else. I think he remembers, I think it was like right around when he took over Peter's body. I think that was the last stuff that he remembered, and everything else was very hazy. And he realized that he couldn't go back to being Superior Spider-Man again, because he made this deal and his emotions has changed. And they made Dr. Octopus in this issue like he's very evil. He's like crazy, he's just insane, and now he's fueled with anger. And I just love the way he was written. It was so cool. And he partially said like the die is cast in this issue, but it was like a real chill one. But yeah,
he whispered it. He's just like, die is cast.
Yeah, he said it in some weird, different way, you know. But it was sad because he realized that he was doing good and he can't be that person that he changed into. And now he considers it a moment of weakness, and he just has to be Dr. Octopus once again. So the status quo has been reset.
I mean, that's mainstream comics for you, sadly. But
yeah, but the way they got to that story, to that ending, was really well written. And they even had a funeral for Superior Spider-Man, like the clone version of him. Cool. And what his alias was, like, I forgot his name, but what he was before. It was like Tolliver or something. I don't know what the hell his name was, but yeah, they had a funeral for him. And he Dr. Octopus himself, Otto, was looking in the distance, basically seeing his clone body being buried, like the good version of himself. So
sounds like the best thing they've ever done with that character. So
yeah, really cool. So really, really cool. All right. So Kat, what was yours?
We on number 2?
Yeah.
Oh, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I was like, wait, did I already say mine? But because we did it for the big book. Yeah, so my Power Rangers.
All right, Michael, what's yours?
Bloodshot issue number 2. So I really liked this issue. It was like really excuse me. It's really more like a fast read book.
That's why it's your number 2. No talking, straightforward. Let's get to the point.
Like
action heavy.
It was just like, well, it was action packed actually, where he fights off against General Grail, like a very intense fight. And the ending was where Bloodshot's body was melting, kinda. And a woman just came in to see to do something with the body. We don't know what it's gonna be. So technically that was that, and it's to be continued. So a fast read and an alright issue, in my opinion.
Are you gonna? It seems like you didn't love your books as much this week, because you've said they've all been alright.
No, like I like the book. I said it was an alright issue. Not okay issue. It's an alright
issue.
That's a little bit better than okay. It's like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
And there's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. We'll see if number 1's fantastic. But I was going to ask you, you're going to go see the Bloodshot movie that's coming out.
Yes.
Cool.
I would love to see it.
That was my only question. But I didn't have a follow-up, but I'm glad you did.
GN says my number 3 was DC issue 6. Poor Cyborg can never catch a break. Oh, I forgot about that part. Him and Wonder Woman are like the last things on Earth, and he tries to find out the truth by using Wonder Woman's lasso, and he finds out that he is the actual cure. So this kind of goes back to that what's it called? That Dylan talk that I was talking about, right? It was patient 0, and he's actually the cure for this whole virus. And he could have cured everybody. He's like, oh, I gotta go fucking. He's like, I gotta go back. And what does Wonder Woman do? Rip his head off and throws him down a ditch.
It's a violent book. It's good.
So that should have been a Black Label book, man. That
should have been
bad, right? I would love to see that in a Black Label version. Oh yeah.
It was funny too, is that I was doing the top 5 panels, and we usually every week we have a different person feature their panel, and we usually pick our number 1 as the feature panel. This week was Mike, and he had Deceased. And the reason I didn't pick the number 1 is because it was like so gruesome of this Aquaman picture. I'm like, do I put this on Twitter? I'll just put the kind Danny Cage one instead. So, but point being, it's very gruesome.
Yeah.
Didn't want Twitter to say anything to me, so.
That's funny. So yeah. So okay, so that was Michael's, right? His number.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Oh, number 2. Okay. And what do you got, Kat?
So I did my number 2. So we're up to the big books, I think.
Oh, are we? Okay. So
Yeah.
you did yours. Because it was Power Rangers, right? Yeah. All right. So the next book show we're going to talk about was Hellblazer, but we talked about that, right? And then Red Goblin, Red Death, issue 1. So this book takes place right when Norman gets the Carnage symbiote. So in case you guys didn't read this and were wondering, okay, where does this whole story take place? This is exactly where it took place. So, Kat, what did you think about this?
Not needed. I was kind of bored by it, sadly. I wish it had to do with what we were seeing with Norman in Amazing Spider-Man, which I knew it wasn't, because obviously they're going to save that for Amazing Spider-Man. But yeah, it just was not needed at all. And then I also thought it was out of character that Norman's talking about his like moral compass, saying, should we kill that person? It's like, you're Norman Osborn. You don't care if you're going to kill someone. You've done it before. So I don't know. I thought it was weird. Yeah. It was just like, why are you trying to make Norman somewhat the nice guy? So I thought it was off the book.
And I don't think like it was needed, like, because maybe if this was released like right after the Red Goblin series to do those tie-ins to that storyline from Amazing Spider-Man from Dan Slott, right? If you said it, because you always wondered, well, there were some loose ends there that were never basically described. And so you got to see him deal with the situation right after he got the symbiote, how he captured J. Jonah Jameson, stuff like that. But it's just like, okay, well, what the hell? Why do I need this now after a whole year and a half removed from this story? So yeah, it definitely wasn't necessary.
And it was expensive too. It was like $6, no, $5. Like,
oh yeah,
you have to spend that much money. And then I bought this cover, which I did like, but it looks like Peter's pinky is like falling off.
Oh my!
It looks like it's not part of his hand.
What is that?
Don't know. It was a cool cover besides that.
Oh my god,
that's funny. So yeah, that was Red Goblin for you. So nothing really exciting there. All right, so let's move on, guys, to that number 1 book of the week. Probably figured it out by now based off of my reaction from this book. Mine was Deceased, issue number 6. Great conclusion to a story. This one just kept on going higher and higher on my list every single month it came out. So, Michael, what was your number 1?
A book we talked about, Warlord Mars Attacks, issue number 5, which was my Under the Radar book.
That's right. And Kat, what was yours?
Mine was, I'm just going to read DNGN's first.
Okay.
So his was Death of Superman. This warped version of Lois is really the first Dark Multiverse character on par with Batman Who Laughs. I hope we see more from her. And then I'll also read Tevia's because he posted his a bit ago. Got to scroll up and find it. This is why we post while we're on the topic. All right, so his was Deceased, a great finale to the amazing story with Wonder Woman, Damian, and John, Superboy, the rest of the hero community trying to save the rest of humanity from the anti-life equation. Mine was actually the one we're talking about in the comments here. Well, first I'm going to answer SM Down. He said, I thought you all weren't doing top 5 comic books anymore. No, we're still doing top 5 comics. We've changed everything else pretty much besides the top 5 comics.
Right. Yeah. Basically what it is we talk about the major books. And if we happen to talk about the top 5, then the top 5 doesn't take as long. But as we go through our top 5, you can put your number 5 when we're on it. And then if it's there, we'll either show it or we'll come around and shout it out. It just depends, on the discussion or how many comments come through or stuff like that. But we're always doing the top 5. We're just discussing more books. That's what the goal is to talk about the comics, and that's why we do it this way now.
Yeah, we just feel like it's more organized. So we are still reading the people's, but we're not, again, going down the line. And we're not obligated to read everybody's, which is sometimes very hard. So we like to pick, all right, we haven't read Tevia's in a while. So, and we could also show it while we were talking.
Anyway. We wanted to make it a more organic conversation instead of going, okay.
Exactly.
Right.
We just want to make it more of a discussion show. So we're still doing top 5. So my number 1 was Invisible Woman, which we already talked about. But funny enough, when I was having a conversation with SM Down, he was like, I hated that page with her Sue's vision. He said he wants to have a worst panel of the week. But I really liked it. What I think is cool about the artwork here is how it utilized negative space. Which in art, it means the outline around the figure. And I thought that was really cool. And it was a unique way to do art. So I just wanted to say that out loud because I was typing it before. But yeah, I really like this book a lot. I'm excited to see how it ends. So we already discussed it.
All right, cool. So that's everyone's number 1, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we went down the line. We talked about a lot of books this week that actually came out. Is there another book or anything before I move on that you guys wanted to talk about real quick that we maybe did not discuss?
I feel like we covered everything I wanted to discuss.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So I guess I'll just take over this role this week, and we're going to talk about the key issues.
We also have the books we're dropping.
Oh, yeah. And we have that. Oh, yeah. That's first. That's right. There's only a couple on here that I see. Oh. So it's time for the chopping block. These are the books that we're thinking about chopping or maybe actually chopping. And Kat, what is yours?
I got a couple this week. I was going to add Ironheart, but I already had dropped that, and I wasn't sure if I mentioned Ironheart in the past, but I dropped Ironheart. I didn't read it this week. And then Excalibur, we kind of already talked about it. There's so many X-Men books out there that you can't have them all, and this one didn't quite grab me. Another one that I've been really just trying to like, and I haven't, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And because Amazing Spider-Man's so good, I feel like I don't have to read this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you on this.
See?
Friendly Neighborhood. I am dropping this book. This issue was
the Bore Fest.
Oh, and the art has just gotten so bad on it. And why do we have to go to Under New York again? Like, why do we have to visit that whole thing and go down the elevator? And it was just a repetition of the first story arc. There's no clear direction for me in this book. So I agree with you. This is getting chopped, baby. It's getting chopped right in half. Well, maybe not physically, but it's
off our pull list.
Because
how many issues have we given this? 13 issues. And I have to say I've not liked one. I haven't really said, oh my God, I really enjoyed Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I know you guys enjoyed the hospital one, which I liked, but I didn't love it. I thought it was a touching story. But what I don't like about this series is that I think I focused way too much on the neighborhood, where it's like, what's the plot of this book? Besides all right, I'm going to help this guy not get their purse stolen. I don't love that aspect to the plot.
Yeah, I totally get it. And the next book, I'm thinking about it. I'm still not sure. It's probably Excalibur. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't feeling it, man. And so with all these other X books, it's like, how long can I go picking up every single X book? I don't know. If it's a heavy week that week, I just might not pick it up. I think I'm on the fence with it.
That's definitely a drop for me. I don't see much of an issue too. Yeah, there was nothing there that was like, all right, that was interesting. I want to see where that goes. So there's no reason for me to pick up issue 2.
What do you think, Mike? Do you have anything that you were thinking about? You're all good this week.
Nope, I'm all good. No chopping block.
That was a good reason to have a small pull list. You tend not to drop as much.
I just read 5 books and they didn't feel like they need to get chopped.
Mm-hmm.
SM Down says the two biggest Spider-Man fans are dropping a Spider-Man book. It must suck.
Yeah, sadly. I don't want to say it sucks, but it's not.
It's not up to par with some of the other stories. I think he's very limited on what he can do with the character because it is Friendly Neighborhood, and I feel like there's just not much story to tell there, you know? So
not even Teresa's in it anymore. Like, as much as we dislike that character, it's like that was at least the unique aspect of this book, is that she was in it, but now she's an amazing. So there's no MJ because she has her own book. Like, who are you interacting with? Like, Johnny comes into the story every once in a while. There's this rumor girl who is their neighbor who I could care less about.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. All right. So that's about it, though. Honestly, everything else I kind of liked. I don't think there's anything else I'm really going to drop. So we'll move on now to the key issues. So Michael's probably excited for this one. Grimm Fairy Tales 2019 Holiday Special.
Yeah, and when I saw that was coming out this week, I was like a bit too early, because usually when you hear the holiday special, you know, you think like during December, like when it's Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever they celebrate. But I'll check it out still regardless, because, you know, the earlier the better, you know, 'tis the season almost. And it's Grimm Fairy Tales of that. So I'll just take a look.
Well, if you haven't learned, after Halloween, it's Christmas. So, but also what's so interesting is I think people...
holidays would be like December.
No, but that's the joke, is that usually people celebrate that the holidays are coming right after Halloween. But I also think it's more of like a selling tool. That way they could have longer months to sell Christmas stuff. I don't think it's a joke anymore. I think it's like they've embraced the joke to actually sell stuff after Halloween. But anyways, we do have some comments. DNGN says, Teresa, she's a spy, Parker. Yes, that is her only defining characteristic, sadly. And then this is a really interesting question from SM Down. Do you think being a big fan of a character makes a harsher critic or a nicer critic? I think it depends what type of critic you are. I've seen people who really like a character who will just look for anything to make it a good book. But I would say for like Spider-Man, like we've all been here, criticized the character in the past, especially when we didn't like it. We just criticized Friendly Neighborhood. I just think it depends what type of person you are. But I criticize the characters I like, and I think it depends what direction. If you don't like the direction your favorite character is going, you'll probably be disappointed with it.
Yeah, I mean, I try to look at Spider-Man as like any other book, and I think when it comes to disliking Spider-Man, I think I try to treat it just like any other book. Mm-hmm. I try not to punish it more because it is my favorite character. However, when the book is really good, I do get excited for it. I don't necessarily give it the best rating just because it is my favorite character, but I will get super excited and passionate about the story. But like I said, Absolute Carnage, right? I don't like everything out of it, and I don't think it's the best story. But yeah, I think that's the way I look at it when it comes to Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah. And I think we both see the pros and cons of each book. Like especially me and Mike, we're not the type of people like 5 stars just because like that's my favorite character. Like, honestly, there's probably been 3 5-star books for me this whole entire year. So it has to be an absolutely perfect issue for it to be 5 stars. And I think, even that Batman issue, the Curse of the White Knight one, which was probably one of my favorite issues of the year, wasn't a 5-star book. And that had to do with Barbara Gordon. And I was like, because I didn't like the Azrael stuff in it. And I thought that bogged it down a little bit. So you can find negatives even in a book that was as good as that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yep. I agree with you 100%.
That was a good question.
Absolutely. All right. So let's see. Let's talk about something here. We got Infected King Shazam Issue 1. I think, Kat, you put this down as a book you're anticipating. What do you have to say about this one?
That a Shazam book's coming out because obviously we're not getting the actual series. I'm really interested to see how this is going to tie into what's been going on in Shazam and what's been going on in Batman Superman. So it shows that maybe they should get another writer for Shazam, because at least we're getting stories with him, but like in other books, and that's just strange. Like, we're not getting the actual series.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And then we have Young Justice, which is continuing.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts about that one?
Just that Naomi is going to be in it, which is the reason why I highlighted it. So I'm interested to see how she's going to mesh in the team.
Hey guys, I'm written by Brian Michael Bendis.
So I'm here.
I'm here. So hopefully you guys like me. I know you're going to like me.
Well, or maybe she'll hate everybody. It's not going to be a middle ground. She's either going to be hated or she's going to be loved.
I always wanted to be on a super team. This is great to be on a super team. I would have lived in a place that didn't even have superheroes. This is freaking fantastic.
That's actually her direct dialogue. Just wait.
Yeah, exactly. I read the book already. Let's see. Red Sonja issue 10, Michael. That's coming out. What do you think, Michael?
What?
Red Sonja, your favorite book.
Red Sonja is
Electra's
coming
in
out.
it.
Issue 10.
No, sorry, I was looking at the connection because it was messing up again. So yeah, Red Sonja is a really great issue. I'm looking forward to seeing what more adventures that she's gonna go on. I definitely can't wait to see more of the extending chapter of what's to come next for Red Sonja as well.
Very cool. The next one we're going to talk about is Dead Eyes issue 2. That one comes out tomorrow. Last week I got a reprint of the first issue, and I love that freaking book. That book was so good. And I can't wait to see what happens with issue 2. I mean, this guy's going back into being a bad guy after being 20 years of retired of being Dead Eyes, and poor guy has his wife who freaking goes into a seizure, and then he's
I'm curious how she got that way, though. That's like how did she get in a wheelchair? Because like my prediction is,
do you think she had a stroke?
I think she had a stroke in the end of that issue for sure. But I think, or maybe she had a stroke previously, but I think they must have worked together, because she wasn't like, she knew who he was and that he was this person. So I have a feeling she was part of this life at some point.
You think maybe she got it? Maybe her accident was because of being part of that, because she totally seemed to get like everything that he did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, well, yeah, they said you stole this much money and blah, 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 you know. But Dead Eyes is a good book. If you guys haven't checked it out, if you get your hands on a copy of issue 1, I think you would like it. It's actually, again, it's a reprint of the book that was called Dead Rabbit originally, and they re-released it to call it Dead Eyes. So they had to kind of rewrite the book so they could get the right, get the right title in there and everything, and the dialogue and stuff. But if you like Killed or Be Killed, the cat compared it to that when it comes to like bad guys and shooting people and stuff like that. Kind of adds a similar artistic tone in that way too. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool. So we'll see what happens with it.
I think it's one of the best newly indie books that came out this year, because there hasn't been a lot. Like, I feel like we haven't really said much about the indie books. Like, the only one I particularly like new-wise is Second Coming. And then this one I thought was really good. Right.
Deanne GN says, which books are you guys more hyped for, New Mutants or X-Force?
That's a really good question.
Ooh, going traditionally for me, X-Force.
I have a feeling X-Force is going to be the better book, but I really have always wanted to like New Mutants. But every single time it comes out, I'm lost. I'm like, all right, I don't know what the hell's going on in this book. But I've always really wanted to like it. So I'm more hyped for New Mutants, because I think if I did like that book, it would be more up my speed and my alley, because it's like teen heroes than the espionage X-Force that's going on. But I think the team is better for X-Force, because you have like Jean, you have I think Colossus on that book, so it's probably a better roster.
If you guys want to check out I did a preview on my channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you want to check out a preview of, it has like the first 4 or 5 pages, and I kind of show the pages and talk about the story a little bit to get an idea of what the book is about. You guys can check that out once you're, done watching us over here. So I thought the artwork wasn't the best, but the story could be a lot of fun in a way because they felt like a team and they felt like they were having fun with each other. So it could be a kind of a light-hearted book in a way.
I want Ileana to actually be a character because I think that's always the disappointment is that Ileana seems so cool and they never know what to do with her.
She's definitely a badass right from the start. So
that's
we'll
good
see
to
what
hear.
happens. Yeah. All right, next book. We have, let's see what's worth talking about here. Amazing Spider-Man issue 33 with Spider-Man 2099. So I think we're going to get more of that story. Any thoughts on that, Michael?
I think probably we're going to get more of the 2099 story, like you said, but, maybe we'll see some of those dancing moves again, just like in
I hope not. Amazing Mary. It actually crosses over. The Amazing Mary Jane dance moves happens in Amazing Spider-Man because they're like, you have to read Amazing Mary Jane. We want to see them dance more. Although Brant loved that scene, so
she'll be a bestseller.
Oh man, your dance moves.
Yeah, so we'll get more of that story revealed with 2099. So we'll see what happens there. Another book that's big indie book this week, huge book, Undiscovered Country, issue 1. There's been hype about this book for months.
There's a movie coming out already.
Yeah, there's definitely a movie that's been in the works when it comes to this. And this is Scott Snyder and Charles Soule with Giuseppe Comicoli, who does the artwork in this book. So yeah, if you guys are willing to check this one out, go check it out, get your copy. We're actually going to be doing a review on this particular book, because we got an advanced copy of it. So we got to read it early. And so, yeah, we're going to give you our thoughts on it, and we'll see if it's worth picking up issue 2. So stay tuned for that very soon. Next one, we got Immortal Hulk issue 26, Kat.
Yes. Hopefully it's better than that. Issue 25. That's all.
It takes place now where Banner's taking over the Banner base or the base at this point. So he's in control. Abomination's gone. Where do we go from here with this story?
That's who's the villain now? That's the question. Is it Hulk himself? I'm a little worried about that. Not saying that the villain was the best part of the series, but what direction is the series kind of going in? I don't know. And how long does it last? But I love this book, and I'm curious to see where they're going to take it. And I'm sure they're going to take it in a really interesting route.
Yeah, the leaders in the book maybe now going forward.
Maybe, yeah.
Delivering fly babies. I don't know, man.
We hope we see a lot of flies. That's
absolutely. It. And then we got Buffy the Vampire Slayer issue 9. Have anything to say about that one?
It's funny because I have a lot of friends that aren't into comics that read Buffy, and we all say the same thing, that Buffy itself isn't as good as Angel. Angel's the better series. Even I think Brant said that too, and Brant has only watched Buffy. He's never even watched Angel. So I feel like it has a lot of potential, and that's the thing about Buffy is that there's so many interesting stories, but only if you watch the show, you get it. You're like, oh, I know why this is important that Xander's a vampire, because I know his journey from the show. I think for newer readers, they don't have the emotional impact like the show has had so far, and I hope that changes, but Angel's the better book so far.
Gotcha. All right, and then I guess Magicians issue 1. Is this an Image book that's being released?
So that's Boom. That's based on the books, the novels, and the TV show. I think that's definitely more of a Brant book. So if anyone's going to be reading it, it'll probably be Brant. Gotcha.
And that wraps up all the key issues or most anticipated books of the week. So I hand it over to you, Kat, as we're going to close off this show.
Yes, I don't know where any of the banners are. Let me see if I can find any of them so we could get our little watch our show thing. I see some overlays. All right, here we go. So you can subscribe to our channel. You can ring that bell if you want notifications that we are going live or posted a video. You can like this video. That way, that really helps us to be noticed. And then all our social media over there as well. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram that we never post on, and of course, YouTube. It exists. And then every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube is Comic Book Weekly. So if you've enjoyed these shows, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell everybody to watch our show on different computers, guys, so we get more views. Yeah. So don't share a computer. Nah, don't watch it on your TV. Watch it in separate rooms and have a fun time talking about us after you watch it.
Yeah.
So
we definitely have you guys. We're taking the time and watching us and commenting and sharing, like Kat said, and loving.
Yes,
yeah,
loving.
We care. We care about you guys, and we try our best. TNGN says, "Where do you want me to look? What am I looking for? Look where? I don't understand."
We won't look at anywhere. Well, DNGN, you are following our channels. You don't have to. You're following our stuff, so you're good.
Just spread the word about our show. You guys are doing a great job at watching it. You know, we tried retooling this show so it'd be better for you guys, and hopefully you're enjoying it and having a fun time with it.
Oh, we have one more question before we end. If you had a friend that wrote a comic and you thought it sucked, would you tell them? If they ask for honest advice, yeah, of course. You're going to be like, wasn't that great?
To tell you the truth, I mean, guys, I read my friends' comic books, right? Kat writes a comic. I read Chris's comic. I read Brant's comics. And we all give each other feedback, whether it's good, bad, needs improvement, whatever the case may be. Me, I'm kind of like the only one that hasn't really written a comic.
Not yet.
I have written stories, and like on like the internet and stuff, but I've not physically written a comic book because honestly, I don't have time. It's hard, very hard, especially when you're always on YouTube every single day. And I love doing YouTube. So.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, but the answer is we all trade our stories, we all read each other's stories, and we're all very honest about, if the story is good, A, and then B, even like how to promote your book and stuff like that. So, I don't think you're a good friend if you're not being honest to your friend, because that's what you're there for. That's how we're going to end the show, guys, with some solid advice. And hopefully you guys enjoyed. And hopefully we have everyone on next week. But what we said before, Brant and Chris were sick. So they wanted to be on. I think Brant's been asleep this whole entire time. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he's knocked out. So hopefully we'll have everybody. And a bigger week for comics as well, because this was somewhat of a lighter week for us.
Yeah,
but
it's that fifth week of the month. So it's kind of like,
a lot of annuals and stuff like that. But we'll see you next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. See you guys.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Everyone.
Thanks.